All right, peace, power, and love is always in greeting. Welcome to another episode, The Big Picture. Um, Appreciate all my subscribers, new subscribers. I'm almost at that threshold where I can go live. And that's really what I'm aiming to do, where I can really kind of interact more with those of you who are subscribed and um, others. Want to also, uh, in appreciating that, share the content, tell a friend, uh, give it a thumbs up. Like I say, subscribe, share. Uh, Also, to welcome my ActivateMedia.org family out of Boston, Mass, who will get the broadcast replay on Fridays at 9 p.m. Um, and I do appreciate that. Shout out to Patrick Wilson. Um, just wanted to get on and drop some new stuff. And y'all know that I'm always going to keep a foot in the neck of the system and these cops, especially. And then some of these old gung ho citizens that's out here. But really wanted to kind of talk about something tonight. I wanted to touch on, these killer cops. Um, and especially in light of, the convictions that happened in the case with Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Parker. I'm gonna give y'all a quick fact before I dig into this. Um, I looked up blacks are 2.9, times more likely to be killed by police than whites. But listen to this. Black males only make up 6.1% of the population, but are 24.9% of people killed by police. So let that sink in. That's almost a quarter. That's 1/10 of a percent away from being 25%. And we're only 6.1% of the population, so they say. But that's kind of a hard pill to swallow, but we see it happening in real time. We see it happening every day, every week, every month. It seems to be a new case popping up with these police lynchings, as well as these citizen lynchings. Um, this case with this Goon squad. And we can only imagine how many other people they did this type of, terroristic actions to. We can only imagine. I'm really kind of amazed that more people didn't, and I'm sure more people did kind of start stepping up, but they probably kind of just pushed that to the side, swept it under the rug like they always do. Cause had these two brothers not survived, these coward cops would still be doing what they do. And we all know the story behind what happened to Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Parker. And I'm going to say something about Eddie Parker that may rub some people the wrong way, but I'm going to say it because it's just the way I feel. But we all know the story how these, coward cops, and pay attention to also, pay attention to these police departments and these sheriff departments across the country, because for 24.9% of police murders that take place to be happening to us at such a high number, and that's alarming when you're only 6.1% of the population. That's, through the roof. But, these are the kind of things, like I say, let me go on and throw this in too. We need each other out here. And like I say, you can only imagine how many other people that they did this to. And just so happened, like I say, these brothers survived. And like I say, we all know the story, how they, bomb rushed the house and held them captive and sodomized them, made them take a shower together, did all types of just weird, sadistic, evil stuff. And then not only that, they ended up shooting, Michael Corey Jenkins in the mouth, and he's still, he's alive. Thank the Most High. But for the rest of his life, he has to deal with that, just that trauma, as well as the mental scars that is going to leave. And so now I'm hearing that they may be looking at 20 years. The one officer, and I'm guessing that this is probably the officer who fired the weapon, will be looking at 30 years. But what type of good time served and how much of that 20 years or 30 years will they serve? I mean, honestly, I heard one of the officers I saw on a clip, I was on the news, apologizing, said he was sorry, and this gonna probably rub some people the wrong way, but I feel like, yeah, he's sorry that he got caught, because how many other people, like I say, were terrorized at the hands of these cowards? See, these are nothing more than gangs. And like I was saying, pay attention, because these sheriff departments and police departments are saturated with these types of cops. And I'm not saying all of them, but I will be so strong to suggest that in every police department there's more than 50% corruption. There's more bad cops than good cops. Because if there were more good cops, the bad cops wouldn't keep doing what they doing. And not only that, the FBI did two reports actually that I've read, that actually spoke about the fact that how these white nationalists and white supremacist groups, KKK groups, all those that were joining police forces and sheriff departments. And we seeing that in the bloodbath, the lynchings that's happening. What happened to Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Parker was nothing more than a preliminary lynching The only thing that didn't happen was they lived. They lived. Because in so many cases that we have saw uh, throughout, I'll say, the last 15 years in this country, not talking about nowhere but the good old boy country of United States of hysteria. But, it is what it is. You reap what you sow. And now you got all these police forces that have been infiltrated by those who really hate us for no reason, hate us for nothing more than being who we are. And also, just the fact that it's this incident happened in 2023, but just the fact that this type of behavior still happens in Mississippi, of all places, where I think they lynched more people than any other southern state during the lynching era. But that's no surprise. That mentality is embedded in the South. And let's just be real. The northern states are not far behind the western states. I mean, nowhere in America is exempt. And then I've been to some places over the years up in the upper northern Midwest, and Wyoming, Utah area, and Omaha areas where there are not many of us. South Dakota, North Dakota. So America is just going to be America. And it is sad that in 2023, you have two black men who have to suffer this type of brutality. And they call us animals. They call us violent. And these jackasses were supposed to be entrusted to uphold the law. And I truly wonder how many other people in Rankin County, Mississippi, have been subject to these cowards and others like them. Because if these are infected, these few, you better believe that there needs to be an overhauling probably of that whole department. And that's proof positive by what we saw, by what these men had to go through. When I mentioned earlier, that one of the officers got up on the stand and apologized. And that's, to me, like, yeah, if I get caught, I'm going to be sorry. But if I don't, I'm good. I get to go home and wake up and do it all over again tomorrow. But when your ass get caught, yeah, you be sorry, because you got consequences to pay. Most of us, in any case, not even nothing as severe as this, because let's be real, for a gang of police officers to do this to two men and still be able to walk around and hold their heads up and act as if nothing's wrong, that's problematic and evil as hell. Very problematic, because they have no conscience. And and really no soul, the things that they put those brothers through. So to me, I wouldn't have had a forgiveness for any of them. The one that said he was sorry, nor the other ones. I can't forgive y'all for kicking my door in and doing the things that y'all did to me for no reason other than y'all could do it because you have the power, the badge, and that gun. That's it. I've said this before. That's their penis. That gun, that weapon. So just be real. Because 90% of the time, head up, ain't no fight. Ain't no fight. Ain't no win. But ganged up, clicked up, weaponed up, oh yeah. They unstoppable. And will act violently, even unprovoked. Nobody has to even provoke them to be violent. That's in some of their nature, who they are. It's inbred in them, you know. And some can fight the monster and win. Others just give in and do dumb shit like those officers did. And it's a whole lot of that going on from East Coast to West Coast, North to South. Yeah. All throughout this country. And I've been in damn near every state. I've been in every state except for 3. And I haven't been impressed with anything that I saw. Because everywhere that I went, it was tainted with that racism. It was tainted with that privilege. You know. So, I mean, there's nothing great about this country. You can't make something great again if it ain't never been great. You got to be great to be made great again. I don't understand the rhetoric that Trump keeps spitting. But those who understand his dog whistles and who paying attention to what he's saying, get what he's saying and get what he wants back. You know, and we really have to be on the alert, on the lookout, head on a swivel. And he's sending out these little subtle dog whistles talking about bloodbaths and this and that. And then you got these cops, because remember when he was president and how he told those police at that speech he made that time, I can't remember what it was for or whatever, but he told them, oh yeah, rough them up a little bit. You know, you don't have to be gentle with them, bang their head a little. You know, well, they was already doing that, been doing that on us since the 60s, 50s, and beyond. Back to the slave patrol days. You know, lynchings. I don't care what form it is, rope, tree, billy club, shotgun, lynchings. You know, taking advantage of those who are at that particular moment vulnerable. And they do it so well. And they do it clicked up. And the new gangs are these punk police. These are the new gangs in America. But ain't nobody talking about that. And what's so cold about it is they ganging up and the government is funding them and weaponizing them, militarizing them. You know, so we got to really start paying attention to that and things like that. you know, because they're consistently happening and no state is exempt to it. It's happened in places that some of us probably never heard of until it happened there. And the quickest way to make it stop happening is to make it stop, which means brothers clicking up. Just how they clicking up is how we really need to start clicking up on every level, not just in a level of self-defense, but in a level of economics, in a level of education. We need to start leveling up and getting back on our level, because remember this, we taught the whole world. People that look like you and me taught the whole world. A lot of things that exist here right now wouldn't even be had it not been for people that look like you and me. So we've always had this, just never had a whole lot of this. We've got the ideas, the intellect. Now we need to start funding them and stop waiting on government and these bankers and lenders and all that, and start helping one another achieve things. We got to have something to leave our children. Like I always make the joke, but I be serious. You know, I tell all my kids this, I'm trying to still build something, because I want to leave y'all more than my raggedy ass last name. And that's how I tell them, you know, because honestly, my name ain't worth nothing, you know. And while we hustling and bustling, we can be really hustling and bustling on a more personal, self-sufficient level. You know, while we struggling, we need to start struggling together. That's what we good at. That's where we really come up with our best ideas. That's when we really do our best work in our struggle. So why not do our best work for each other and stop doing it for everybody else? And start putting our own people on, and stop having to wait and hope and always pray. Nothing wrong with praying, but sometimes we need to know we can go to our whoever and get whatever without having to jump through 5 extra hoops that nobody else have to jump through to get it. When we can deal with each other and start helping each other climb the ladder, rung by rung by one rung at a time. We ain't got to try to run up the ladder, skip up the ladder. Take our time and step up the ladder to make sure we don't misplace nothing, to get it right. We owe it to each other. And that'll get these police off our back. Once we start working and building, see, we won't even be paying that no attention. We got to refocus. Unlearn, relearn, refocus. And then once we start building and growing together and loving each other how we should, we'll protect each other the way that we need to. Like I say, if we start taking care of the things we need, what we want to be right around the corner waiting on us. It's up to us to get it. It's up to us to make it happen. You know? And I wanted to touch on something while I'm talking about this, because earlier I made the comment, you know, that the police are, you know, lynching us without the rope and the tree. But then too, here in America, where, you know, lynching was just a great American pastime, you know, picnic, pick a nigga, picnic, derived from what they would do, pick a nigga and hang him. They would sit there and enjoy a beautiful sunny, picture this, y'all, picture this. Sitting there with your family, enjoying a beautiful day, got your blanket spread on the grass, eating your whatever you bought to eat at the picnic, waiting to hang a nigga. They got them tucked off, behind the hidden door right now, waiting for everybody to get good and full, and then, drink a few beers and beverages and get full of that old evil spirit that they possess, and then start calling for them probably. And a lot of these picnics happened on Sundays after church. And at the end of the church service, they would announce, we fixing to hang old Jack Brown, boy. We're going to have a picnic after church, and we're going to hang old John Brown, boy. Yeah, we caught him doing whatever, maybe not even nothing. He just that sacrificial lamb for the day to appease that violent thirst for blood and, terrorizing that they have. I never understood it, but I still see it happening. So not much has changed since then. It's just a lot more of it now is done in secret. But they still clicking up, and they are still lynching us. I don't know if any of you may have heard about the case that happened in Georgia just a few weeks ago. And then they ruled it a suicide. Trevante Jamal Schubert. Let me see. Yeah, excuse me. Trevante Jamal Schubert Helton. 29 years old. And they found him in a Swallow Creek Wildlife Management Area. And this was on February the 21st. I had to pull that up. And I'm going to just say this. I've said this on several of my podcasts. I've read several, articles and stuff. And black people do not commit suicide at high rates. And when blacks have committed suicide, it's overwhelmingly by gun. But they keep finding these these hanging bodies, and they will shoot it over to their little old medical examiner that's getting paid to rule that a suicide, so we don't have to do no type of investigation, because that's not really what we want to do. We're not concerned about Trevante Jamal Schubert Helton. That's of no concern to us. And they, after, to me, a very short while, came right back and ruled it a suicide. And this is bothersome to me because it keeps happening. It keeps happening. finding our loved ones hanging in trees, and then having these injustice workers rule it a suicide because that's just the quickest way to close the record. Quickest way to close the record. No time wasted on no investigations, none of that. And this happened in Georgia. And there's another one that always stays in my mind because it happened the day after my birthday in 2018. And this is the murder of young man, 24 years old, in Ferguson, Missouri, Danye Jones. And this one bothers me just because of the circumstances surrounding the murder. You know, I can remember like it was yesterday when this happened, and I saw her on several interviews. I'm fortunate enough. I'm actually friends with her on Facebook, and she's real down to earth. She's really an activist, and she is about that life. And I feel like all that this particular murder was done in retaliation. She's very active in the community, and everybody knew that. And then too, I was doing some digging, and I just want to run over this real quick, because I think that was retaliation. I definitely do. And then you got these, just like I said earlier, you got these saturated police departments who have that racist mentality, who really enjoy putting on that uniform so they can go hunting. Because that's what they doing to us. They hunting us. And there's no way that that Trevante Schubert Helton was in a park and committed suicide. I don't believe that. I don't believe he went to a park to hang himself. Why? What's the need for that? But what that is just like they used to do. Remember history. Don't ever forget history. But just like they used to do, they used to lynch a nigga to keep the rest of the niggas in line and put them on display. And that's what this was. Just like in the case with Danye Jones. That was same thing. Something done for show. We gonna silence the rest of them by putting this one on display. They did it numerous times throughout history. We act like we have forgotten their evil past, and they working so hard to have it erased out of the history books so people won't have any type of curiosity about it. People will stop asking questions about it. They working real hard to have it removed from the books. Their evil doings that continue to happen even today. And with this young man found hanged in his mother's backyard, she specifically said that the sheet that he supposedly committed suicide with was not even a sheet from her home. Said it was tied in some Navy knots, and he didn't know anything about Navy knots. Not only that, she said there was a bump on his head, said that his body was bruised, said that he had marks around both of his wrists, and then the kicker is his pants was pulled down to his ankles. And for those of you who don't know, in history, many times after they would lynch and burn or do whatever they would do, desecrate the body, they would further desecrate the body by cutting body parts off. And in numerous lynchings of black men especially, they made it a point to yank his pants down and cut off his penis. This is what they did to our forefathers, to people that look like you and me. And they would leave him hanging in the tree for everybody to see. And that's how, well, minus the removal of his penis, but that's how she found her young son. And they ruled it a suicide. So who's going to get up in a tree, pull their pants down, I mean, just think about all that it would have taken for him to have perpetrated that act. And like I said, who wants to hang themselves? His mother, I've heard on several interviews and even read several interviews after the fact, when it happened, where he was working towards getting his real estate license, had the entrepreneurial spirit like most, some young people do, wanted to do something with himself, happy-go-lucky, not depressed, but he committed suicide in the backyard with the sheet. Then he pulled his pants down. He had to have done that beforehand. But no, we all know. Those of us who know, and don't fall for that bull. It's still happening. This is American history. This is part of their culture. They used to put these acts, these heinous acts, on postcards, and mail them back and forth to each other. That was a thing, and we saw several pictures where they having these lynchings, and they got the whole mob out there, even the kids. And see, this is what happens with that mentality. It's passed on from generation to generation to generation. It's not something that you're born with. It's something that's taught to you. Something that you learn. But to each his own. But this is their history that they so want to hide now. I mean, they wasn't ashamed of it when they were doing it. They sent the shit on postcards. One of the worst lynchings ever in American history happened in Waco, Texas. I can't remember the young man's name, but they lynched him, burned him, was raising him in and out of the fire. He kept climbing up the chain. They cut his fingers off where he couldn't climb up the chain no more. Then after they burned him alive, they cut his body parts off. Souvenirs. Who does that? Make that make sense. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what needs to be understood about with whom we're dealing. This is the mentality. This is the brutality that they're capable of. This is the kind of thing, like I say, they would dance around bonfires and drink and get drunk, not a worry in the world, because it's not them or anybody that looks like them or anybody they know or care for. And every time it happens, they rule it a suicide. Every time it happens. Another that happened, and I talked about this on a prior podcast, and this one happened back in 2020. A young man by the name of Nevin Baker, and this was in Orlando, Florida, back in 2020. A man was out early one morning about 3-something in the morning, and his dog jerked loose from him and ran over to a tree. And while he's running trying to catch his dog, the dog stops and is just barking, and there's Nevin Baker's body hanging from a tree in a park in Orlando, Florida. And he was 22. This was on October the 5th of 2020. And his mother said that the police showed her the body cam footage, and when they got there, that his hands were not bound behind his back, and that crime scene photos illustrated he had no bruising on his body. So I'm gonna just say this about that. I'd like to talk to the man with the dog, because he's the first one saw him, that would know if his hands was bound behind his back or not. The police and those others that get there can always, and this is something that I don't understand. The body cam, good idea, but the ability to turn them on and off, well, why even bother? Because they can easily turn that camera off, cut his hands free, put a little makeup on the body to cover the bruises or whatever, and restart the whole scenario again. So the way that things can be doctored with video and photos, I just don't, I don't really fall for that either. You know, and these are not suicides. These are not suicides. But they keep happening. And nobody's saying nothing. And this is why I say, why are we wasting our time in a going to polling booths, voting for people who don't give a damn about us? Joe Biden ain't shit Joe, and ain't hiding Harris, Miss Chucks and Pearls don't give a damn about us. Throwing her husband in a dashiki. The hell kind of... See, this is, to me, that's spitting in the face of our culture. That's really what it is. And she's done that her whole vice presidency along with Ain't Shit Joe. Yeah, I said it. All these lynchings happening, all these police killings happening, and they still haven't done a damn thing for black people. And the first words out of his dusty lips when he won was, I got y'all back. I got y'all back. And if you go and vote for him again, what kind of fool are you? Because we sitting watching this man give all kind of money to everybody except us, and said, and no. He had Miss Chucks and Pearls say it. We can't specifically do anything for black people. It's an interview with her saying them exact words. Yeah, I can't tell you that we're going to specifically do anything just for black people. That hurt my feelings, but didn't surprise me. She's married to one of them. So in her household, that's the head of house. She don't mind massa. It is what it is. And all these lynchings still happening. And another one that I'm gonna bring to your attention, and this is the final one, Gloria Bombo. And I remember when this one happened, and this one happened right here in Texas, in McKinney, Texas, just north of Dallas. They found her body hanging in a garage. And here's the kicker. Here's what's gone, her roommate was a white guy who the police say fully cooperated. But when you really don't give a damn about working a case, you don't look for no suspects. You're not even trying to name a suspect, because then that means more work for the cops in McKinney, Texas. McKinney, Texas is the same place where the viral video of the coward cop slamming the girl in the pink bathing suit, slamming her on the ground, manhandling her. McKinney, Texas. This is where they found this young lady, 20 years old, hanging in a garage. But here's the thing. She went missing on July the 9th. She went missing on July the 9th. So that means that she was hanging in that garage from July the 9th until July the 12th, that Sunday. And they say that the body was so badly, and I can believe that, because July in Texas, very hot. a body hanging in a garage, yeah, it's gonna decompose real quick. In that sweltering heat and humidity. Yeah, it's going to speed up the process, let alone the flies and the maggots that are going to accumulate in just that small amount of time. But they say that the body was so badly decomposed that yeah, the parents couldn't even view the body. So her body had to be in their garage for those 3 days, and that smell, nobody could smell that. You know, I'm just saying. So many things are wrong with that case. And Collin County, where McKinney sits, will do nothing. And I've heard nothing else about it since it happened. And it's just another murder that was ruled a suicide by lynching. Suicide by lynching. And you think about American history. Think about America's history and how they loved the strange fruit, how they loved swinging bodies from trees. And all the other sadistic things that they did. Feeding babies to alligators. Buck breaking. Rape. Molestation. Pedophilia. They want this erased. As long as I got a pair of lips, I'm going to talk about it. There is no such thing as critical race theory. I keep saying this. It's critical race fact. It's just factual. These things happened and are still happening in 2024. And it's up to us to stop it. If we don't, nobody will. This government doesn't care. This government is about depopulation. This government, it should be evident by now, doesn't care about its people. And it's sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and now to Israel. While we in this country struggling to put food on the table, pay insurance, pay the light bill, gas bills, phone bills, just the simple things that we really need. It's a struggle to have in America. So that's all I got. I just wanted to get that off my chest because we seem to be blind to the facts of what's happening. And if a gang of cops can kidnap two brothers and do the things they did to them, and these young people lose their lives by lynching and have it ruled suicide, somebody's got to care. Somebody's got to give a damn. Somebody needs to get upset about it. Somebody needs to be vocal about it. And somebody needs to keep saying Travante's name, Danye's name, Nevin's name, and Gloria's name, and so many others. And then not only that, y'all, we need each other. We all we got. but we all we need. We got to come together and stop letting little simplistic things be what break us. We got to learn how to work past that. So it's up to us. Really, it's up to what we do. It's up to how we act and react. And it's about, this is why I always say plan, organize, unify, because we got to have a plan of action. Organize it and we unify it. And then we building. Then we on one accord. Then we can create a flow. Then we can be on code. Then we can start taking care of one another properly, economically, physically, mentally, spiritually, in every way we need. But first we got to start. So I love y'all. Like I always say, hey, I appreciate y'all. If you're liking the content, like I say, share it. Thumbs up. Appreciate my activatemedia.org family in Boston, Mass. Hope y'all have a good night. This has been another episode of The Big Picture. And I'll be dropping another one real soon. Appreciate y'all. Like I always say in closing, let's plan, let's organize, and let's unify, because we all have a key right here and right here. I'm out. Peace, power, and love.